Hello, everyone. This is Tech Sergeant Dominique Donover, your favorite personnelist from the 187 Force Support Squadron, and today we will be going over the requirements for promotion, more specifically on the enlisted side. What we will discuss today, we will discuss the documentation that is required for promotion to each grade, what PME is required for each promotion grade, and who is responsible for completing and submitting promotion packages. All right. So from an Airman Basic being promoted to an E2 or even an E2 being promoted to an E3, these are the requirements. The first requirement would be a letter of recommendation signed by their commander. They would need a RIP or CERF to be printed from MilPDS. They would need a fitness results test. Their fitness test must be at least a 75 or higher, and it has to be within the current year. It also doesn't matter if they have an exemption or not. As long as the test score is 75 or above, they can be promoted. They will also need to have a skill level of at least a 3. A 3-level skill comes from going to tech school. Their time and grade, their BMT date must equal 6 months from the date the package will be submitted to FSS. Note, time and grade starts from the BMT date. It does not start the date that the member enlisted in the Guard. And the time in service for these promotions would be the member has to have at least 1 year time in service. Their time in service is calculated from the date that the member's BMT orders start, not the day that they enlisted. For example, if the member's BMT date started on May 1st of 2019, they would not be eligible for promotion to the next grade, E2 or E3, until May 1st of 2020. For the promotion requirements for E4 or senior airmen, the member must have a letter of recommendation signed by the commander, a RIP or CERF printed from MilPDS. Their fitness results as well must be at least 75 or higher and completed within the same year. They must have a skill level of 3, and their time and grade must be 12 months, 1 year as an E3 or an A1C, and their time in service must be 24 months or 2 years. Promotion requirements for E5. Letter of recommendation signed by the commander, a RIP or CERF from MilPDS. Their fitness results must be at least 75 or higher and current. They must have a skill level of a 5 level. This is obtained through having tech school, completing your CDCs, and any other additional required training in your area. The time and grade must be 12 months, 1 year as an E4 senior airman, and the time in service must be a minimum of 48 months, which is 4 years. The education requirements for promotion to a staff sergeant would be to attend ALS via correspondence or in residence, which is Airman Leadership School. Note, this requirement applies to ANG members enlisted from other branches of the armed forces, regardless of the level of PME attained during their prior service. For example, there can be a member that joined that came from the Army. If they are the equivalent of an E4, they would still need to attend Airman Leadership School in order to be promoted to an E5, regardless if they've already attended a leadership course equivalent to what our Airman Leadership course is. Promotion requirements for E6 or Technical Sergeant. First, the member will need a letter of recommendation signed by the commander, a RIP or CERF printed from MilPDS, fitness results that must be a minimum of 75 or higher and current within the year. Their skill level would need to be a 7 level. This would mean that the member has completed tech school, they have completed their 5-level CDCs and upgrade training, and now they have completed their 7-level CDCs and upgrade training. The time and grade that the member would need to have in order to be promoted to a technical sergeant would be 24 months, or 2 years as an E5 staff sergeant, and time in service would need to be 72 months or 6 years. The education requirements for tech sergeant would be Airman Leadership School. You should have already obtained this by being a staff sergeant. Note, this requirement applies to ANG members enlisted from other branches of the armed forces, regardless of the level of PME obtained during their prior service. So another example would be if an Army personnel came in and they were considered to be a staff sergeant or E5 in their branch, in order to be promoted to technical sergeant, they would have had to have the ALS school as well. Promotion requirements for E7 or Master Sergeant. The member would need to have a letter of recommendation signed by the commander, a RIP or CERF printed from MilPDS. Their fitness results must be a minimum of 75 or higher and must be current. They must have a skill level of 7. Their time and grade must be 24 months or 2 years as an E6 tech sergeant, and the time in service must be 108 months or 9 years. The education requirements for Master Sergeant promotion would be to attend via correspondence or in residence the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, NCOA, and they also must have a promotion retainability for AGR members 24 months and non-AGR members 12 months. This means that if the member is an AGR personnel, they would need to be able to stay in the unit for a minimum of 2 years in order to retain the Master Sergeant promotion. If they are non-AGR personnel, drill status, technician, etc., they will need to have a minimum of 1 year retainability. For example, we had a member before who was a technical sergeant who was promoted to master sergeant. The member came back about 4 months later and wanted to retire. Well, in order to retire at that master sergeant rank, the member would have to meet that 1 year retainability. Because the member did not meet the 1 year retainability, that member who chose to retire would have to retire at the highest grade that they held previous, which was tech sergeant. And also, to be promoted to a master sergeant, a senior master sergeant, and even to the chief level, members are required to go before a promotion board as well. Promotion requirements for E8 or senior master sergeant. The member will need to have a letter of recommendation signed by the commander, a RIP or CERF printed from MilPDS. The fitness results, of course, must be a minimum of 75 or higher and must be current within the year. They must have a skill level of a 7 level minimum. Their time and grade would be 24 months or 2 years as an E7 Master Sergeant. Time in service would have to be 132 months, which is 11 years. And the education requirements to be promoted to a Senior Master Sergeant would mean the member would have to have attended via correspondence or in residence the Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, Senior NCOA, and they must have received an associate's degree in any area of study from CCAF, which is the Community College of the Air Force. That means that, let's say you have a member who might have been maintenance prior and they joined FSS. If the member already has obtained a CCAF from their previous career field, they would still be eligible for a promotion even though they now sit in a different slot. The promotion retainability for a senior master sergeant, the member must be able to be retained for a minimum of 2 years in order to retire with this rank. Promotion requirements for E9 or chief. The member must have a letter of recommendation signed by the commander, a RIP or CERF printed from MilPDS. Fitness results must be a minimum of 75 or higher and current within 1 year of completion. The skill level must be a 9 level. The time and grade is 24 months, which means the member has to have held the Senior Master Sergeant rank for a minimum of 2 years. And the time in service is 168 months, which is 14 years. The education requirements to be promoted to a chief is that they must have an associate's degree in any area of study from CCAF, Community College of the Air Force. Again, you can be in a position in CE, but have a CCAF in Human Resources from personnel, and you would still be eligible to be promoted to chief. The promotion retainability must be a minimum of 2 years or 24 months. So who is responsible for submitting completed packages? The member's CSS or Commander Support Staff has the responsibility of compiling and submitting completed packages to FSS. If the proper documentation is missing and or the member has not met the required time and grade or time in service, the package will be returned to the member's CSS. There have been a few times where the member CSS has completed packages on behalf of members and they are missing documentation and or the member is not eligible at that time. So in FSS, what we are required to do, we vet the packages to make sure that the correct information is there, but it is not our responsibility to provide that information for them. This means that the burden lies on the Commander Support Staff to submit all the required documentations. If all the requirement documentations have not been submitted, then we send that back to the CSS, letting them know what's missing, and the CSS must provide the documentation that is needed. Also, if the member is not eligible for promotion at that time, we send the package back to the member CSS, letting them know that the member is currently not eligible and to tell them to hold on to that package until that time has come. All right. If there are any questions or concerns, you can contact me, Tech Sergeant Dominique Donover, at 334-394-7462. And you can also reference the AFI 36-2502, which gives you all the information dealing with enlisted promotions. So if no one has anything else for me, I am done, and I hope you guys have a great day.